This is the Power Platform Daily Brief from CRM Audio for Monday, September 16th, 2019. I'm Joel Lindstrom, and this is what you need to know about the Power Platform today in 10 minutes or less. To start off with, congratulations to Team Apollo from the Reston, D.C. area for winning the TDGI Global Hack for Good. Over the weekend, on Saturday, they released the video of Charles Lamanna announcing the winners. There were some people who tied for second place, and the winners were announced. I'll put the video link in the show notes so you can see that. I'd recommend you watch it. But again, congratulations to everybody on Team Apollo for your really great work and for winning the TDGI Hack for Good. And if you weren't able to go to the Flow online conference last week, it was really well attended, and there were some really good sessions. And actually, since they're all recorded, all the sessions are available online on demand. So I'll put a link to that in the show notes as well. Check it out. And there's some news on the Power Apps front. One is that the App Checker now includes the performance optimization tips. So when you run your app through App Checker, now it'll give you some good feedback. And we've seen some already in testing out some apps where it will give you tips on things you can do to improve the performance and let you click on them to go do those changes. So that's a good thing. Performance is important to consider when you're developing a Power App. One thing is it doesn't necessarily do everything for you like a model-driven app does. So you need to take some extra care to make sure that things load quickly and that you are giving proper notification to users so they know something's happening when it's happening. So the performance optimization checker in the App Checker is a good thing to run your apps through. Next is that Canvas apps now support the Power Apps component framework. So PCF controls can now be used with Canvas apps. Now, not all PCF controls can be used with a Canvas app. There's certain specific kinds that can be used, but this is going to be something that's going to make our apps look a lot better and also give more reusability for components and room for ISVs and other people to create their own component libraries that can be used not just in model-driven apps, but in Canvas apps. And again, it's important to know the limitations. And this is an experimental feature. So it means that you may not want to use it in production yet. It will be going into preview at a later date. But right now it only supports the field type of code components. It doesn't support Web API, and controls have live preview available in the studio, and the custom code in the components is executed in the non-sandboxed environment. Makers should ensure that the components apps that they're accessing in studio are from a trusted source. And I believe it will prompt you or give you a warning if you are using a component that it may introduce malicious code. So just keep that in mind as well. So go play with that. It's good news. I know that Guido is updating his PCF gallery to indicate which ones work with Canvas apps, so you should see that soon. And are you using custom connectors for your Flow or Canvas apps or CDS? Good news. You can now add them to solutions. So check out the Power Apps blog, and you can actually, from your solution, create custom connectors that can then be moved with your solution. Currently, no limitations. You can't currently move custom connectors that were created outside of a solution. You have to create them from the solution. They don't reference environment variables. Dependencies aren't logged. There's no managed properties for them. Sharing with Azure Active Directory groups is not supported. Backup, restore, copy do not function properly for connectors, and custom connectors are not available in Classic Solution Explorer. So as long as you keep those in mind, it is a preview feature too. But if you want to go ahead and try that, you can try it now. And mark your calendars for October 10th from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. This is the Microsoft Business Applications virtual launch event. The official virtual launch event will take place, again, October 10th from 8 to 9:30 a.m. Pacific time. And this is like the official kickoff for the Wave 2, which will start rolling out very shortly in October. And I'm finalizing my presentation for the Power Platform 24 coming up on the 25th of September, which you can get to xrmvirtual.com, and you can see all the sessions for it. But I'm going to be speaking, I actually have the closing session, the last session of the 24 hours. So it's going to be really a lot of good presentations, and I'm going to be talking about Teams integration. And so I wanted to give you some insight about, for those of you who haven't spoken at a conference like this before, of how I go about preparing for it. One is, first thing, you got to have an environment. So I've got my environment set up. I've got my Teams integration set up, ready to go. And I kind of follow a similar outline when I speak at a conference. The topic will be different, but I got several different kind of mental outlines I use for every session I do, basically. And so what I do is, first off, tell people what you're going to tell them. And I learned this from an old boss I used to have. But basically, tell them what you're going to tell them, then show them, then tell them what you told them. So in this case, I've got things like the out-of-the-box integration with Teams and Dynamics, or I guess model-driven apps now. And that should take me probably 20 to 25 minutes to show that, especially all the ins and outs of it. When you talk about things like the document integration, the collaboration button in Dynamics, working inside a team, strategy, how you do that, I think there's a good 20 to 25 minutes. But then I also want to show how can you extend it. So I'm going to be then getting into some scenarios. I try and keep it kind of a unified story. So if I'm in a persona, or I am pretending to be a salesperson or a sales manager, maybe build on a scenario where you start with the out of the box, or out of the cloud, I guess, because there's not really a box anymore. But you start with the standard integration with Teams, and then get into maybe some scenarios where notification with the Teams bot, or even some Teams automation via Flow. And so that's a little preview of what I'm going to be speaking about, but you can really apply that to anything else. So then the session that I'm doing for UG Summit and also at Ignite is going to be around the topic of using Power Apps and Flow to manage your data quality. And so with that, number one, if you're speaking at multiple events, choose related topics or the same topic, but then expand on it a little bit differently. So when I speak at Ignite, that's a 20-minute community session. So that's kind of like the cooking show where you don't have time to show all the ingredients going together and then the full baking time. You just basically show high level and make your main points, and then the 20 minutes is over. But then at UG Summit, that's an hour-long session. So I can bring more examples in there, maybe have a few more demos. And that's what I would say that a lot of people who are new to presenting do wrong, is they think they need to come up with a fresh presentation every single time. You really don't. It's okay to reuse content or build on things you've done. So when I mentor people for MVP or other things like that, what I tell them to do is, find what they're passionate about, find the things that you're really interested in, and then build content on top of that. It could start with blog posts, that could start with short presentations at your local user group chapter, things like that, but then expand on it, then build longer presentations. But I don't think you should give the same presentation twice. I don't think it should be exactly the same, because there might be somebody in the audience who has attended the other sessions that you've done or read your blog posts. So always give them something new as well. Put a little bit of time and effort into it, and the result will be a good conference presentation and more confidence going in because it's a topic that you really know. This has been the Power Platform Daily Brief from CRM Audio. I'm Joel Lindstrom. Now you're up to date. Power on.